Thank you, everybody. Welcome to the third meeting of the San Francisco Drupal Users Group. It is March 19th, 2026, the third Thursday of the month, as always. And today, we have the pleasure of hosting Mike Herschel, who is the co-founder of Dripyard, which you're going to hear all about today, and the primary author of the Olivera theme. He is teaching and training at DrupalCon on Monday. He's got a session on Tuesday and another one on Thursday.
Wednesday, but yeah.
On Wednesday. And then Tuesday at the Pantheon booth, and
yeah,
too many other things to.
There's a lot of stuff.
All right. So, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Mike Herschel.
Thank you, Luke. Thanks for organizing this. So my name is Mike. So I've been so busy for DrupalCon. So I'm actually going to use you all as guinea pigs and practice a 6-minute presentation for you in a little bit. And then I'm going to kind of just go off the cuff. I want to do a demo of our site template, our first site template. We can talk a little bit about single directory components. I can show off some Drupal canvas stuff. And we'll just kind of see where it goes. There's lots of stuff to talk about. I could talk for a very long time, except for I'm on the East Coast and I need to get a good night's sleep. So I'm going to share my screen and I will do my presentation. I just want to give a little heads up. This presentation is it's going to be part of, if you're going to DrupalCon, it's going to be part of the CMS Spotlights keynote that Gabor Hoitzi is putting on Wednesday, and the format of it is fixed. It needs to be a certain length. So I recorded a video of just the slides, and I'm gonna basically be talking karaoke over the slides. So I got to practice my timing. So here we go. You get to see, and of course I'm gonna do an intro and all that. And I should probably time myself, or actually my phone is my camera, so I guess I can't, but hopefully it goes to around 6 minutes. And well, actually I know it will, because that's how long the video is. So y'all should see, let me see if I can make Zoom bigger here. I guess I can't make it bigger. Y'all should see my screen right here, and I'm gonna hit play and then just kind of go. So this is called Canvas Components and the Dragons in Between. And yeah, there's the dragon. So my name's Mike Herschel. I've been involved with Drupal for almost 20 years. I'm the primary developer behind the Olivera theme, which is the default theme for Drupal core. I help bring single directory components into core. I'm a subsystem maintainer for core for CSS. I'm a founder of Dripyard, and I'll talk a little bit about that in a bit. And I'm a lover of all things free open source. So all of us are familiar with Drupal strengths. That includes content modeling and low-code site building tools like views and field UI and things like ECA. But I would like to argue that Drupal strengths really allowed us to ignore our weaknesses. And so I'm going to go over some strengths. I talked a little bit about content modeling. We can put together a beautiful site, a beautiful content architecture just by clicking around. We can integrate with everything, and security of Drupal is top notch. And our community, all of us right here, this is the primary strength of Drupal. But in the meantime, our weaknesses are things like page building, which is not for lack of trying. We have things like layout builder, paragraphs, layout paragraphs, and a million other things. Our designs are not that great for the market that we're in. And getting started with Drupal has kind of just been a running joke for far too long. Meanwhile, our competitors like WordPress AEM, Squarespace, Shopify, they do all the things that we do bad really well. They do things like page building really well, designs, beautiful, gorgeous designs, and it's easy to onboard and get started with them. It's a long slide. But imagine if Drupal could do all of those things well. Imagine if we had great page building, beautiful, gorgeous designs, and it was easy to get started. And that's where I believe that Drupal's going. You know, we have Canvas is going to take over page building. Site templates can integrate in with beautiful designs. And Drupal CMS now makes it a lot easier to get started with Drupal. So about a year and a half ago, I started a company called Dripyard with a good friend of mine, Andy Giles, to sell premium themes and eventually site templates. And we're embracing this new theming paradigm. You know, instead of a traditional theme, we want to include a large library of components tied together with a flexible design system. And we can even ship patterns to use these components to make it easy for our editors to drag and drop these. And when all of it fits together, it comes out really well. So this is like a sped up video right here. But in reality, this only took me about a minute and a half to put together the skeleton of a page, and it was great. But it's not always that easy. There's some dragons, right? So we were involved with Canvas very early, back when it was still called Experience Builder, and there was a lot of errors. And to be honest, there's still occasional errors. Canvas is very young software. It's stable, but it's growing, it's young. And sometimes it's a little scary. And there's a lot to do. There's currently no multilingual in Canvas. Components and global regions, you can't do visibility rules with them, and they lose template suggestions. Only basic prop types are supported, no complex arrays or objects. You're unable to restrict slots to certain components and vice versa. You can't override single nodes, and you can't group props into Canvas, you know? But things are changing through these awesome people. I worked really hard on the animation, by the way. I don't know if you noticed all those people pop in. So there's a huge team behind Canvas and Drupal CMS that have filled up with amazing people. And it's not just these people, but these are the people that I especially want to call out because they make everything work for me. They come in and just like make it all rainbows, and I'm really thankful for them. So I'm really excited about the upcoming marketplace. So the Drupal Marketplace is going to enable Drupal to compete in a lot of smaller markets. Currently, people don't even talk about Drupal for projects less than $100,000. And that's a shame, you know? So those projects are still going to be there, but now you can browse the marketplace. You can pull down a fully functioning Drupal website with a content architecture and a theme and even some content for less than $1,000. And then you can tweak it with the power of Drupal to give it to your customer. And that enables us to go down market, and that's going to grow. That's a brand new market for us, and it's going to grow our community. And I think that's a big, huge deal. So traditional strengths include content modeling, integration, security, and then we have page building, designs, and getting started. And like if we have all these things together, like our future's bright. You know, as I said earlier, I've been involved with Drupal for almost 20 years, and this is the most exciting time I've done it. This is the most exciting time ever. And like, I fully believe that like, if we do all this, if we do it properly, which I believe we are, it's going to grow and it's going to be awesome. And yeah, so that's it right there. I need to work on some of those slides. Some of them are longer than others. Um, so at this point, I can give you all some demos of our site templates, and I can just kind of talk about Dripyard and stuff too. And if y'all have questions, I think like, we're small enough where you can just kind of unmute and just kind of ask your question right here.
Yeah,
So
you can show off Drupal canvas along with the themes and kind of
yeah,
how they integrate with each other.
yeah, I totally will. So let me pull up the site template right here because the site template, so a site template, if you're not familiar with it, is it's like a whole Drupal site, so it includes a theme, it includes a content model, and then it includes actually content. And it comes with a big old recipe in there, and you can pull it down, install it, and it gives you just this full site. So our first and currently only site template is called Meridian Charter School, and it's meant for it's like small schools. So you can kind of see like we have a bunch of different pages here. These are all Canvas pages, and I'm gonna walk you through some of this right here. And we also have some, we have like some views. This is a Canvas page with some integrated views. This is a normal article right here. This is not Canvas. And then, of course, we have some integrated web forms and stuff like that. So you can go to our application page. We have a pretty large web form. And of course, we have like a contact page right here. So as far as like content types, there's nothing really crazy here. Like we have things like, an event content type, news articles, and a person. And those like really kind of like enable, things like our events view and our staff directory and things like that, right? But let's get into Canvas because Canvas is kind of the new exciting thing. So if you install Drupal Canvas, you'll have like an edit button up here. And at that point, you can start dragging and dropping. So this is our, our home page right here. So if I want to get in here and start editing stuff, of course, I can just click in here and start, talk about the San Francisco user group or something like that. Go user group is awesome. You can start changing around images, of course. And but what's really cool is like playing around and putting in new components here. You can see there's like a little bug in Canvas where the views are not rendering the same in the editor as they do in the front end. But let's go ahead and add something in here. So on the left-hand side, you have this little drawer that opens. You can see I'm hitting the little plus right here. And there's a whole bunch of components that are listed here. And these components are a mix of single directory components, and then you have some block views down here that we created. Most of the components that you're seeing right here, these are included with the themes that you get. Like you buy a theme from Dripyard, which runs in the neighborhood of $500, and you get a whole library of components that you can drag and drop. And then we also, within our recipes, we also ship what's called patterns. And patterns are basically like groups of components, So like, for example, I can, like, if I want a logo grid, I can go ahead and just drop it right down here. And at that point, I have a logo grid, right? I can get back here and now I can start tweaking it. I can make that background white. I can go into the logo grid and I can even like change different props in here that like really kind of start affecting stuff. And I can also, oops, I think I pasted something in there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to the bottom and actually delete it here. So you can see we delete that. I'm going to go here and I can hit Control C, Control V, and you can actually like copy and paste stuff, which is pretty cool. I'm a big fan of copying and pasting in general. And so you can kind of see that you can start like assembling your pages. If I want to create a new page, I hit this on the top little bar up here, I can just go to new. And I can say like, new page or something. It's not centered. I'm just going to hit this button up here to kind of center it. And at that point, I'm going to go back into my patterns. I'm going to start dropping in like maybe some type of hero type thing. So, or a header. Like I can drop in this right here. This is a header with a background right here. So I can kind of use this as a hero. And I can select my own image. And this is media library, so I can upload my own image as you'd expect, right? So we can do that. We can type in whatever we want. Type in whatever we want. At that point, I can start adding in some components directly if we want. We have a little layout section down here where we have some layout components. And so at this point, I can start like adding in like something like a heading in here. This is my heading for this meetup. I can center it if I hit that little thing right there. And then now I can start maybe just like putting in some content down here. I can start with a card. You can see this card right now, like it uses CSS container queries where if it's wide, it'll go into kind of a landscape mode, but if it were to get narrow, it would go into a portrait mode. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of show you how to do like a different column layout in here. So at this point, we go back down to the layouts and we have like a grid wrapper right here. And this grid wrapper just kind of sets up a 12 column grid right here, just using like CSS grid, right? And at that point, you can put in like a grid cells in here. And you have different props for the grid cell, and you can say like at large screens, I want this to span 3 columns. At medium screens, I want to span 6 columns. At small screens, I want to span 12 columns. And that'll, like, of course, if it's going 12 columns, it'll span the full thing. And at that point, I can like drop a card in here. And now I can go to the grid cell if I want and just kind of copy and paste it. So I'm going to select a grid cell. I'm going to hit Command C and hit Command V a couple times. You can kind of see that that's looking like I'm hitting the preview button to the top up here. I can also go into these cards right here, and I can change the theme. If I want to set these themes to like light, I can do it like this. And like the way that we've written, like I'm really proud of the way that like we've written to CSS, because it like all the text will automatically respond to like the background color. So that kind of ensures that you have proper contrast, which is like really important for accessibility. So for example, if I even change this to black, you're going to see that this text right here will change. Let's set this back to light. You can kind of see like generally how you can compose a page. What's kind of cool about Drupal Canvas is like it doesn't get in the way. Like I've done a lot of layout builder type stuff, and you end up kind of fighting the UI a lot. And with Canvas, the UI, it's not 100% perfect, but it gets out of the way, which is like really nice. And so like the most work when you're composing a page like this is actually doing the content. And like that's what you want. The content should be the work, not kind of moving stuff around. And so I'm pretty excited about that. If I want to publish this, what I do is I can go up here and it's already at new page. I'm just going to hit review and hit publish. And now if I go up here and I type in new page, I'll see it right here. It's not terribly great, but you get the idea. And we have like like what's kind of cool about it is like there's tons because we have like all these components that you can assemble in different ways. You can really make your Drupal site look different. Like you can make these pages look different. And that's pretty cool, you know? So anyway, I'm super excited about Canvas. There's a couple things in it that like, you know, are far from perfect, but it's moving really fast, you know, and that matters. Any questions on Canvas while I'm in here?
This might be jumping the gun a little bit, but
Hmm.
if you could explain at some point what makes single directory components uh, fit with this, why, how that, I know they plug in
Yeah.
to
Yeah,
here.
we can even create one if you want. So let me show you. Um, let's just create a basic component. So this is the Drupal site that I'm in. This is the site template that we just downloaded. And of course, we have our theme under here. And so our Dripyard themes all have this Dripyard base, which is like kind of the grandfather theme. It has a whole large component library. And then we have our regular themes, which kind of adjust the look and feel. And then, you know, all of your work you're expected to put into a sub theme, and that's just so you can update these two if you want. So we have like, of course, you know, a sub theme for our site templates. But if we want to create a new component, we can do it in any of those themes. But let's just put it down here. So I'm gonna create a new folder in here and call it components, right? And let's create a new component in here. Does anybody have any idea for a component? Just throw it out.
About a
Frequently asked question.
What's
Accordion.
that?
FAQ accordion.
Okay, yeah. Let's call it FAQ or something like that. All right, so I'm gonna create FAQ item dot component.yaml. So under here, we have a components directory. All single directory components need to be in a component directory. And then your directory underneath can be arbitrary. You don't even need a directory in here, honestly. But you do need two files. .twig. You need a twig file, and you need a component.yaml file. And your component.yaml file will have basically, it'll define all the type of stuff that your twig files can get. So like let's write the twig file first. Right. So let's just do article. We'll make an article called fac item. And then under here we'll have a H2 called fac item title. And we'll have a title in here. And then we'll have a div called fac item body. And we'll have a body in here. And the best way to do this is by using attributes object. I don't know if y'all are familiar with Twig, you want to do attributes that add class. And this is so like other like processes in Drupal can add attributes and stuff like that if you need to. So at this point we have two props, you know, we have title and body, right? So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go to drupal.org/docs. And if you go to this, so the using single directory components documentation on drupal.org is pretty good. And there's this whole big YAML file that you can copy and paste. I've done this so many times, right? You can paste this in your component.yaml and then just start screwing with it. The schema up here just tells your if your editor is configured to kind of use that, it can use it. So I'm going to call this fac item. Description, don't even need status. We can do stable. Group SFDUG. So when you're in Canvas, you see these folders right here? This is the group. I think you can start dragging and dropping these. I think that was like something they just added. I haven't actually tested that, so I don't want to screw around with that just yet. And then you can have components override other components. We're not going to do that. And then we have two props in here. And we are going to have some required props. And then the props are going to be title. And the title of the title is going to be title. And it's going to be a type string. And the secondary one is going to be body, right? Type string. This is also going to be a string. Title is body. Description, whatever, all that crap, right? I'm going to get rid of all this. Keep it simple. We're going to make the title required and the body required. Drupal Canvas has you do one more thing. Since items are required, it needs to know how to render it initially, and that's with an examples key, which is an array. And then examples. All right, so this is basically the most basic single directory component that we have. So since we created a brand new single directory component, we need to clear cache. We probably need to install Drush. All right. So if I get back in here and I refresh the page, I should see it. So I think it was under SFDUG or something, right? That's what we did. So it's going to be at the bottom. Right there it is. Let's create a new page so we can just like screw around on a new page. And let's drag this in right here. So here it is. We have, this is my title and this is my body, right? So this is about as basic as you can get, but let's just, keep on iterating and maybe make it pretty or something, Let's make this, let's publish it right here. Oop. Refresh. I guess I gotta do this again here. So, so the first thing that you notice right here is the body isn't really a body, it's just like a field, So how do you tell it to actually render like CKEditor? There's the Canvas documentation has some stuff in here. Let's see if I can find it. Yeah, read documentation right here. So they're rolling their own documentation. And so you can kind of look through right here. And then we want props, and then we want a string. And we want to do a string with HTML right here. So this is the important part right here. I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to go back in here, and I'm going to add this crap right here. Once again, we have to clear cache. Now, if I get back here and I reload this, I don't think this component's going to update. I'm curious to see what it does right now. So this doesn't update, but if I delete it and add a new one, it will. So you can see right now that we have CCAditor in here. You can see that. It's a very basic CCAditor implementation, but you know it's there. So of course, right now we don't have any CSS with this, right? So if we want to include CSS, the easiest thing to do is just create a CSS file in here, back_item.css. And we can make the title background lime green. And we can make the body I don't know, sea green or something like that, right? Because we added a brand new file, Drupal won't know it's there until we clear cache. It's a lot of clearing cache when you're doing Drupal development. Y'all probably already know that. So now when we do this, we should see it here. Let's see if we see it. Yeah, so you can kind of see that we have styling here and stuff's working. So if we want, we can also add a JavaScript file. And if you want, like a lot of times you might want multiple CSS files or multiple JavaScript files or something like that. And there's tons of ways to do that. Well, there's one proper way to do that, and that's through like library dependencies. So you can have multiple CSS files here that you can declare if you want. And you can also declare like things like dependencies and extra JavaScript stuff. And so you can do that. And then let's say that like we have our body prop here, but let's say we don't want to use a body prop. I'm gonna get back here. I'm gonna delete this. And let me delete this here first. And delete it out of here. Let's create a slot, right? So you can kind of see we have this slot right here. So a slot is basically an area that you can put in other components. So I'm going to create a body slot, call it body, and then we can maybe drag rich text into it, or we can drag an image into it if we want. Because we're screwing around with YAML, once again, clear cache. I'm going to take a drink of water. So I'm going to refresh, drag over this component, and you're going to see it's going to have a little area there for the body. And now what I can do is I can drag things like my text component down here. Or I can even drag an image component in here. I can throw an image component in there if I want, And so that makes things pretty flexible like that. And you can nest things all the way down. That's one thing that you can't do with Layout Builder, but you can do with single directory components and Canvas and stuff like that. So pretty cool. Any other questions as far as single directory components and or Canvas?
How thoroughly could that interface be customized? I saw you added the subheading for SFDUG there. I'm big on simplifying things. Can you take them all away? Can you strip it down to just the ones your site is using?
Yeah, that's a good question. You can definitely remove components out of here. So you can see like right here, we have a background image component. I know you can take them out and you do that through appearance, components. And unfortunately, there's no search in here, but we should be able to search for background image. And this thing right here could use like a whole bunch of love, background image right here. So I can disable this. And if I disable that component, let's go back to my pages here and edit this. I shouldn't have background image here anymore. Yeah, I don't. I'm kind of curious what'll happen is if I go to a page that has a background image. Let's see what happens. I'm just like really curious. Yeah, it's still there. And that's kind of to be expected. You don't want to basically yank it out, but yeah. So you can simplify certain things. Like you can adjust and we should be able to like create a new folder in here. Call it Mike's stuff. Oh, no special characters, Mike's stuff. I think they could handle special characters. And you should be able to drag things around. And I think that should work. This over here, of course, is controlled by your props. There's really no way to like group props or anything like that, which is something I've been asking for. And then of course there's patterns. I should probably show how to create a new pattern, you know? Like let's say that this whole area right here, I can actually create a pattern right here and call it like sports stuff. Hit add to library. And now you can see I have sports stuff down here. So if I create like, you know, a new page, I can, oh, let me get back into the center right here. I can drag my sports stuff down here. You know, so it's kind of a little flexible like that, but I don't really know how much more control we have. Like I'm sure you could write custom modules that can do a lot of cool things, but yeah. Any other questions?
So is a pattern a container for components, or are
It's
they?
more like a group of pre-configured components. I wouldn't call it a container. It's like a snapshot, like, you know, yeah. So yeah, so that's Canvas. That is single directory components. I talked a little bit about the color system I'm really proud of, you know, like I talked about how you can kind of set your backgrounds, your themes and stuff. Let me see if that works. And you have it automatically adjust and stuff like that. I like.
How
One
does
of the
it?
things,
How does it know when to flip? Does it? Do you tell it to flip, or does it measure the
you
like
mean the
darkness?
colors?
Yeah, how does
Yeah.
it know when it goes to a light
Oh man, that's the
foreground?
magic. That's the magic right there. Let me show you how it works. I'm really proud of this, by the way, because it took like a whole lot of trial and error to figure out how to get it right. So most of this lives in Dripyard base, and so we have this concept of themes, like, you know, not just like Drupal themes, but like, you know, black, dark, light and stuff. And so what we do is we create a CSS class, and then we have design tokens for each of these. So we have three different like background color, you know, called surface, surface alt, and surface primary. Then we have like 4 different text colors, you know, color soft, medium, loud, and primary. And then we have, of course, border colors, link colors, you know, status colors, and a bunch of button colors and stuff like that, right? And then when we get into the components, when they're doing colors, they exclusively use these. So if you get into a card and you start looking at the CSS right here, you can see the card background is always using these theme tokens right here. And so these theme tokens, because it's using theme surface and like theme text colors, when you change the parent class from like say theme dark to theme light, these will automatically flip, which is pretty cool. And then of course, like if you go into the theme, you go into our theme settings, of course you can adjust all the colors, right? So like right now you can change our color from blue over to red if you really want, let's make it crazy red. Get back here. You can see things are red, and like everything's going to be red. And it will maintain contrast with that. This should be contrast, even though it doesn't look terribly great. It looks ugly, but it should be maintaining contrast. And yeah, it's pretty cool. Like honestly, I'm pretty excited about that. And yeah.
So that's a differentiating feature of using Dripyard versus like Byte or something like that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You've
Yeah,
got
that's something that like the other like the other things just don't give it to you. Like there's a lot that we do. Some of the stuff that I'm also like really proud of, and no one's ever gonna do this, right? But like let's go into appearance and set the administration theme to like shit, we'll just set it to Meridian or Meridian Charter School, And then, but what's cool in here is like all these like little Drupal utilities. Like if you get into things like, I don't know, like the menus and you edit your menu, if you try to do this type of stuff in any other theme, like even Olivero, it will not work. Like there's so much like little things that go into this. If you go into like the um like our content listing, all of our tables, like you're looking at like all these sorting things, like they are themed properly. You see how like these have the proper colors, the like everything like kind of fits into place, and like that's like a lot of like the I don't know, the like a lot of the TLC that we put into this. Another thing is like when you preview something, we have like our little toolbar down here that's themed, like so many places forget to do this. I have to change array from this red. This red's bothering me. Why can't I click? We go to appearance. Oh, look at this. That's not themed. Appearance, leave preview. Let me change it away from red. Change to a light pink. It's Pepto-Bismol pink. Here's something too. Anyway, but you kind of get the idea that like things are kind of like put together like fairly well, and like all this like if you create a Drupal theme from scratch, there's so much you have to do. There's so many like little components, and then like another thing I'm like really proud of is like we extend a lot of other modules. Like if you go into like our info.yaml file right here, you can see like we work with things like better exposed filters, and like the Claro consent library, and like things like field group, and like we extend this to make it better,
oh yeah.
and yeah. And of course we work with like things like layout builder. We ship like a lot of layouts and stuff like that. And yeah. So I think this is like the best work I've ever done, honestly. Like I'm super excited about it. We need to get people on board, but I'm excited.
Are you gonna? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Herschel.
Yeah, I had a question. You mentioned you made it work well with Layout Builder, and of course, I think it's very awesome and very thorough. And you also mentioned Canvas is a great tool, but it's still work in progress, not multilingual yet. I also saw Plus Suite, that recipe that extends Layout Builder. It makes it I would say like a little more canvasy,
Yeah.
but you know, doing so in a more Drupal-y way. Um, have you played around with Plus Suite? Do you have any thoughts on like if someone wanted a multilingual site today that Canvas is not ready for,
Yeah.
would you think Plus Suite is a route to go down? I know it's
There
like a
would
little,
be two routes I would investigate on this. Like Suite would be one of them. I played around with Plus Suite back in the day. Like when I say back in the day, maybe like 6 months ago, because I heard about it and I know like Tag One was doing it and they're all generally awesome people there. And so I played around with it, and when I played around with it, I could tell it wasn't done. But then I didn't realize that it wasn't done for whatever reason, but until I looked at it. But then they just launched, or they just like announced it a couple of weeks ago that, hey, this is here, and I haven't had a chance to play with it since then because I've been so busy doing everything else. But something else I'm really, really excited about is Page Builder, Drupal.org project Page Builder. It's created by Pierre Dero. No, is it Page Builder Kit? No, it's called Display Builder. Sorry, Display Builder. It's created by Pierre Dero, who's like an amazing person. He's one of the maintainers for single directory components and core, and he's the guy who did like a heck of a lot of work all with like the UI suite and stuff. And they've like the whole French community over there has been working on that and like kind of just like taking real world examples and putting it into Drupal core. And so he has like a whole bunch of work he's trying to get into Drupal core, which I wish I had like more time to get dedicated to help push it through. But he has this new page building tool called Page Builder, or no, Display Builder, and it looks really good. I haven't had enough time to put in like all the effort into learning it. And I'm sure at DrupalCon he's going to probably corner me and like force me to like watch him play with it and stuff. But at the same time, it's like there's only like so much days in the week, and it's. So
Mhm.
and yeah, so we'll see. But this is something I would really look into right here is Display Builder, and then I would
Okay.
look into Plus Suite, and I would probably try to do like some proof of concepts of both.
Mhm.
And at that point, pick one or the other.
Yeah. Man, I was hoping for you to narrow my choices, but
Well, yeah, yeah. I mean, if you gotta do multilingual, Canvas just isn't there, and that's kind of a shame because I've had a number of people talk to us, because they want to use Canvas, but it's not multilingual yet. And one of Drupal strengths is multilingual,
Mhm.
but not with Canvas yet.
Oh,
But I know that's like a very high priority.
Yeah. Okay. And I did watch the Plus Suite, like when they announced it, I watched the video and it looks very cool, very far along. So yeah, I'm interested. I guess I'll try all three and
Yeah,
I'll let you
sorry.
know if I find anything.
Yeah, let me know how it goes. Let like the way that it works with all of these though is you don't know until you're in the weeds.
Right,
Like
right. The
you get that
education.
80% done and you're like, this is great. And
Mhm.
then like, but how easy is that final 20%? Like that's where you learn if you like it or not.
Yeah, that's fair. My high level understanding of the UI suite, or plus suite, I should say, is honestly, I don't even know what I should say. Plus suite is the recipe, but my understanding of it is it just uses Drupal's display mode, just uses everything and kind of just makes single directory components apply to them through the UI. But
I need to play around with that then too. Like I can tell you with like our themes, we ship recipes that create a bunch of like a bunch of custom blocks,
mm,
and then we map those custom block types to our single directory components. And obviously that's hard to maintain and stuff like that. I know Page Builder or Display Builder, I think, does it automatically. If this does it automatically, this would be awesome too.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Lots of
Oh,
awesome stuff here.
all right. Well, we're nerds that can talk all night, but
Yeah.
we should probably we've come to the end of sort of our allotted time here. So here, why don't you stop sharing your
Oh yeah.
screen?
And of course, I'll
And
throw the plug. If anyone wants to try Dripyard, if anyone wants to try Dripyard, go to drupito.com.
Yep.
You can set up a free demo, get some hands-on Dripyard action,
Yeah.
and Canvas and all the other things.
there we go. Announcements leaking out ahead of DrupalCon. How do you like
I
that?
Absolutely.
know. Yeah.
All right. So Mike, you're going to be at the Pantheon booth, you say, after the Dries note, demoing some of
Yeah.
these things.
Right after the Dries note. Yeah. Yeah. Like they reached
Well,
out to us
after the
and
picture, right? So
yeah. They reached out to us and they're like, hey, do you want to, present here because, we like what you're doing and stuff. And we're like, heck yeah, because the Pantheon booth, if you ever been to DrupalCons, is like a very popular booth, and if we can get in front of people that don't know who we are, and force them to watch our stuff so they can get a free Pantheon shirt, like, heck yeah, we're going to do that, and then also, and I'm super excited about this, like they're going to start using our stuff for their demos, so when they're like demoing Drupal to like prospective customers, they're going to use some of our stuff, and like hopefully that'll help turn around sales for us too. And I'm excited about all the Drupito stuff that Ashraf is doing, where we have all our stuff over there, and yeah, that's pretty cool. And I have like so many hopes, but I also think like the reality is like the Drupal community is not used to buying stuff. They're used to paying for development services, but they're not used to like buying themes. And there's a lot of crappy for pay themes out there that people have bad taste in their mouth, and we have to kind of like get over that.
yeah, well, the whole template marketplace and Drupal CMS, there's definitely a chance to write another chapter of the whole ecosystem. So
Yeah.
we talked to Pam about that. See if she can work that into the roadmap. All right. Well, Mike, I appreciate you. Just for all those people that Mike's incredibly busy right now, right ahead of DrupalCon, and carved out a valuable hour of his day here to come and do this, and so greatly appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Thanks for organizing. I love it takes a lot of effort to organize stuff like this, and hats off to you, Luke, because like it's a lot.
All right, thanks.
So thank
and
you.
while we're promoting things, next month on the third Thursday of the month, we'll have the illustrious Ashraf Abed, who's here in our studio audience with us, demoing the freshly renewed. Is it the initial release, or is it the how are you?
It is the initial release. I mean, we've been in a early beta for over a year, but did one big deployment earlier this week, and the continuing to do the full release, before DrupalCon. So for DrupalCon, we'll basically say, everybody enter Drupito. But this is the first time where I think there's anything worth seeing on Drupito.
A month from now, it'll be fully debugged. For what it's worth, SFDUG.org runs on Drupito in a Dripyard theme currently, and it's a disaster. Turns out I wasn't able to get it all to work in the few hours that I tried to do it in. So that'll become polished, and we'll see what we can do with
absolutely.
that.
Every issue you reported is already resolved for your site and for the future. I appreciate the early testers more than you can imagine.
All right. So Mike's got his training on Monday and all
Yeah,
that
I got a
things.
full day training, and I still gotta do some prep for that. I gotta practice my timing on that presentation I gave for y'all earlier. So I'm
Yeah.
not just sitting there like twiddling my thumbs.
Yeah, that's good. All right, so I'm going to stop the recording and then that'll be in. Thank you, everybody, for coming. We'll see you next month.
All right, bye, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.